I'm Matt Miller with the Roanoke-Alleghany Regional Commission, and I was last here, I think, about 10 years ago when we did this the last time. So at that time we looked at the districts in Covington, and was that when they were created? I'm trying to remember. No, before that. Okay. So we want to revisit those in 2021 with using the 2020 census data that was recently released. So many of you will know sort of the process of the things that you have to look at, the continuity of the districts, how they're created, the compactness, which is actually a visual test rather than a mathematical test of whether they're gerrymandered or not, the preservation of communities of interest, and some other issues that states or localities look at depending on state legislation. And of course, race always plays a role in how these districts are designed. And there are a lot of legal areas that I can't go into because I'm the cartographer. So I make the maps, and I can talk a little bit about the demographics. But if you want to learn more about the legal aspects, the Department of Legislative Services has a guide out on local redistricting that talks a lot about the whole process. And of course, your city attorney or registrar could fill you in on some of the legal ramifications. So the basic concept is one person, one vote. So you have the 5 districts, and you want those districts to be equal in population for the most part. So if you take a hypothetical place of 5,000 people, which is close to what Covington is, each district would have 1,000 people, and you're allowed to have a 10% overall deviation in those districts. So what that means is one district could be 5% lower than the ideal, which would be 950 people, and one district could be 50 people above the ideal, which would be 1,050 people. One with 5% low and one 5% high, that gives you the overall 10% deviation. So the idea is you want your population deviation overall to be less than that 10% number. So in 2011, you were at 4.7%. A couple districts were under and a couple districts were over. I don't want to press that. So here's 2010, and you'll see the in green, District 2 had 33 people over the ideal, and District 5 had 23 people under the ideal. So that's 2.77 plus the 1.93 is how you get to 4.7%. So we want to run the same numbers for 2020 using the updated data from the census, using the same districts. And we find now that District 5 is 45 people under, and District 4 is 31 people over. So that still gives us 6.62%, which is under the 10%. So that's the good news. According to the demographics and the maps, you don't need to do any redistricting, which should be a relief. There is one instance where I'll get to in a moment where you might have to do something, but I think that's unlikely. So I just wanted to touch on the changes in the demographics of Covington from 2010 to 2020. So all the districts except District 4 lost population. You'll notice that all the districts lost white population, and that's not unique. That happened across the United States in rural localities, and almost every jurisdiction in our service area, from Roanoke up to the Allegheny Highlands, lost white population. The Black or African American population stayed about the same, as did Asian. Hispanic increased by 87 people, so that was almost doubling. And 2 or more races increased by 301. So people are sort of taking pride in their diversity and maybe their makeup, and more people are answering that they're of mixed race, and that happened across the nation. So that is just how people are defining themselves, and that has changed. So I just pulled out some of the higher categories. There are more racial categories that would have smaller percentages. This is a graph or a flow chart of what the state's doing right now. You may have been following the State Redistricting Commission. They have a lot of dates and deadlines. I won't go through all of this, but it's a flow chart of their timeline. Basically, they have until next week to come up with a plan for the state for the House districts and the Senate districts. So they have 140 some different districts, and they have a plan that the Republicans have developed and Democrats have developed their own plans. So this commission has to try to reconcile those by next week, and that will be a very big challenge. So whatever they arrive at may determine whether some localities have to redistrict. So they may, it applies probably more to counties where they have multiple precincts or larger areas. So I looked at most of the plans online on the state's website, and nothing is really splitting the Allegheny Highlands up, or certainly not Covington. They're all in the same district. But if you look at Botetourt County, for example, that's, in this example, split up into 3 different House districts. So it's possible that Botetourt may have to realign some of their precincts to align with those state districts. So I don't think that's going to affect Covington, but that's something to watch out for. So that's really all that I had, if you all have any questions.
So that's the House districts?
That's one of probably 10 House district plans that I saw online. They haven't decided on any. But you can go on the state's Redistricting Commission website and look at all those plans and comment on them.
The only thing that might affect us would be a different plan that split Covington into different.
That's correct. And I didn't see any plans on the website that had Covington split up. Of course, I don't think they've gotten to the congressional districts yet. These are just the state, House, and Senate districts.
Do y'all have any questions?
So right now we don't do anything?
I don't think you need to do anything.
Sweet. I'm good with that.
Man, thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Helps a lot. You guys trying to surf through the internet and figure out what's going on.
At least you got some good.
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Just from when I was at the last CAO's meeting, I know Jeremy had mentioned that there may be some potential need to look at stuff for Allegheny County. Are you aware of any of that from when you looked at the changes?
Yeah, I've looked at the other counties in our district, and I've contacted Allegheny County. I think that they do have some issues with some of their districts. Their deviation, I think, the last time I checked was about 20%, so they may need to adjust at least 3 districts, I think. But I don't know that they've started that process.
Do you know which those are? I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I don't remember the names, but they would be the northernmost 3.
Okay.
Going from west towards Clifton Forge, might be Falling Springs, might be the Callahan, and Sharon might be one.
Covington district is the northern. Falling Springs takes in Callahan.
Okay.
And then Sharon would be the eastern end that takes in part of Clifton Forward.
Sorry for the curveball. I just thought it was an interesting question.
But I think most of the other localities will have, the larger counties, Roanoke County, Franklin County, Botetourt County, I think when I looked, all might need to do this redistricting.
So if we were to have to redistrict, how does that affect the election cycle? Because, well, with the county right now, they've got 3 or 4 seats open. So if the redistricting occurs, does that help? Does that have to change? Well, it could change before they vote.
Yeah, I think there's
So you wait till the next election cycle?
Right, I think it applies to the next election. You can't redistrict within 60 days of an election, but that's...
I missed that. There you go. All right, man, thank you.
Sure. Thank you, man.
You can come back to this anytime you want.
maybe in 10 years, yeah.
Maybe
One
go back
thing-
forward then, one thing.
I will say before Mr. Miller leaves the podium, we should all congratulate him. He received a new position with the Roanoke Regional Partnership. Matt, would you like to tell us a little about what that is?
Right, I'll be the Director of Market Intelligence, so I'll be doing something similar, working with data and demographics and the needs that businesses might have questions about as they develop in this region. So I start that in about 10 days.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you.